Alright guys, now that the initial 39 characters of King of Fighters 15 are all announced, I think it's time to assess the roster of the latest installment of SNK's flagship fighter. The developers did a great job when they brought back fan favorites who were absent for quite a while, and they managed to shatter all expectations in the process with new teams that nobody saw coming. On the other hand, I was surprised and disappointed by the absence of some fighters who I think would have been perfect for the roster. Characters who have rich legacy, fun gameplay, or that should have just been an obvious pick for the base roster. But before we continue, I know that by the time of recording this video, the DLC teams have been announced already, that being Team Garo and Team Southtown, and we also have 2 more DLC teams that will be announced later this year, so hopefully some of the characters on this list will be joining the cast in the near future. I also included multiple characters in some of these entries, so even though it is a top 10 list, there are actually more than 10. So there won't be a whole boss team of characters on here. So you guys can definitely get that out of your head. I'm not like most of the people out there. I don't want Ignis Infinites in the game, even though they are fun and make people rage quit. But without further ado, here are my top 10 missing characters in King of Fighters 15.
Speed King.
Team China, also known as Team Psycho Soldier, has been a mainstay team since King of Fighters 94, at least until 2003, where we've seen things start to change within its team members. It was the first time when Chin and Kensou were absent. Only Athena stayed with a brand new team, that being the trap god herself, Ma Lin, and one of my other favorite King of Fighters waifus, Hinako. This situation is similar to what is happening now, with Athena joining up with Mai and Yuri to form Team Superheroines. Chin can be really good or really bad depending on what game you're playing. His best versions happen to be between 2002 and 13. He's an absolute beast in the latter. But in 14, he's quite good, he just doesn't live up to his 13 counterpart. He has the same moves from 13, but without the drive cancels, he has a hard time opening you up and getting that big damage. Kensou has always been a good mid-tier character, and he's always been a good zoner in all the games except for 2000 where he lost his fireballs. He's a great beginner character thanks to his easy moveset and his speed. He was only absent in 2003, and unlike his master, he did return in 11, which has one of his best variations ever, getting all of his classic moves and keeping some of his original moves from 2000. So far, we don't know the reason for Kensou and Chin being absent story-wise, but maybe they can bring back Kensou's Dragon Spirit arc. That was a crazy story that could have been awesome to throw in. But don't worry, SNK, I'll keep bringing it up until you get so annoyed with me that you have no choice but to put it in. Iori Yagami has been on many different teams throughout the series. Like, for real, this guy just can't stay still. The rival team with Billy and Edgy in 95, the Agents team with Seth, Vanessa, and Ramon in 2001, the Sacred Treasures team in its 2 variations, one being in 97 with Kyo and Chizuru and the other being 11 with Kyo and Shingo. And we also can't count out his solo entries in 99, 2000, and 2003. But we can all agree that his most iconic team that he's ever had was with the sexy duo of Mature and Vice in the Yagami team. Not including the Dream Match and non-canon entries, they were a team in only 3 games so far, 96, 13, and finally 14. It's weird to think that they even had that many team-ups, considering Mature and Vice died in the first game they ever appeared in. And then they were ghosts in 13 before Verse was even mentioned or the resurrection of dead characters that came with him. Think about it. Throughout all of King of Fighters history, we barely know anything about these two. How did they take form in 13? And why did they join Iori again even though he was the one who killed them? Or why did they even try stopping Iori at the end of 14 when he left to destroy Orochi? And we have so many other more questions left unanswered. Who knows? Maybe they'll be on a DLC team with their former boss Rugal. That would be pretty sick. But I, for one, would have definitely loved to see the interactions between them and the other Hakushu members. But seems like it's not going to happen, and to be honest, that's a shame. One thing I like about KOF-15 is how it brings multiple characters from each arc of the franchise. We basically have one team and a rival team from each arc. Except when it comes to the Ash Saga, it is clearly missing a few characters so far, with the exception of Ash and Elizabeth. No other original characters from that saga made the cut, which is a shame because that saga really had good additions to it. My favorites being Shen, Duolon, and Oswald. Shen is a super explosive motherfucker with an easy moveset, and is a good starting point for anyone trying to learn a simple character. Duolon is a cold assassin from the Hizaku clan. Unlike Shen, his execution is really hard to master, and his button mapping is different for some moves. He can also stretch his limbs. Imagine Dhalsim from Street Fighter, but on crack. Finally, Oswald, the retired hitman who has info on every fighter in the KOF universe. His fighting style is named Carnifel, which is this unique style involving cards. I don't need to really explain it here, just watch this clip, you'll see. To me, I think the best character in the Ash Saga in terms of both design and playstyle is probably Oswald. I think Oswald just looks amazing, like everything about his character, his suit that he wears and just how he presents himself, I think is just amazing. So I'd definitely love to see Oswald, but I could definitely see these three as DLC for sure. I mean, Oswald was DLC in King of Fighters 14, and Blue Mary made it in, so let's just hope for the best. Next, we have the patriarch of the Sakazaki family. Takuma is usually overshadowed by his kids, Yuri and Ryo. He was once the final boss of the original Art of Fighting when he dons the Mr. Karate Tengu mask. And he was also a secret boss in SVC Chaos, and was the leader of the Art of Fighting team back in '94. His most recent appearance was in KOF 13. He's become more of a joke character over the years, which kinda sucks because this guy is a complete badass. When he goes all out with that Tengu mask, you better look out. He's easily one of the strongest senior fighters in KOF, and he is the origin of where Yuri, Robert, and Ryo's moves come from. Plus, he still has his own exclusive moves that nobody else has. He can be a zoner in one game, then in the next game, he's a close range fighter, and his specials are really hard to punish if you're not ready. All of his students are in King of Fighters 15, so the chances of him showing up are really slim, but maybe they could bring him back in a Masters team, maybe with Saisu Kusanagi? Alright, so this one I've been personally requesting for quite a while. That's right, it's the American sports team. Brian, Lucky, and Heavy D. Now that the Orochi team is back, these guys need to make a serious comeback. Brian, the hard hitter of the team, has crazy damage, and if he's in the right hands of a good player, he's an absolute monster. Lucky, the fastest of the group, and the zoner to boot, has basketballs that can reach in weird places on the screen, and his limbs can poke from crazy far ranges. And his speed is on par with Chris's speed. He also has an amazing DP. And also, there's something else about Lucky that I particularly like, and I guess I'll just let this super speak for itself. And we also have the most popular of the group, Heavy D. He's the only boxer in my eyes that is second to Vanessa. Sorry, Nelson, but nobody likes you, that's why you're staying in 14. Anyway, his style is completely unique from other KOF boxers, and he has insane damage. Heavy D, Lucky, and Brian were only in one canon game, that being the very first one, 94. They came back in 98 due to it being a dream match, but that game is where their popularity really started to grow. Other than that, we never seen them again, and to make matters worse, they were reduced to nothing more than a running joke. They are shown getting beaten by other characters off screen and getting their invitation stolen. Jeez, these guys just never get a break. I think they are definitely in the need for a comeback. Speaking of popular characters, Shingo Yabuki is the most popular character amongst the fanbase, but always seems to get the short end of the stick. After he got destroyed by Iori at the end of 11, he was never seen again, except for maybe a few cameos in 13. But what makes Shingo such a fan favorite is the contrast between his goofy personality and his strength. While being a flameless Kyo clone, his moves are powerful, and I mean powerful. He has a unique mechanic where his supers and specials have a 50% chance of landing a critical hit, and if it lands, it's gonna hurt. He's the underdog everyone roots for that actually has a chance of being something, unlike Dan, Zack, or even, oh my god, Sean from Street Fighter. I would like to see him have his own comeback arc where Kyo trains him and then he goes to fight Iori to a draw, because, I mean, let's just be honest here, it's freaking Iori. His hands are literally rated E for everyone, even his own teammates aren't safe. Just ask Mature and Vice. But let's just hope that Shingo makes it as DLC. Next is one of my favorite ninjas in KOF. No, not him. Yes, that's better. I'm talking about Iji Kisaragi. He's speculated to be a descendant of Zenitsu from the Last Blade series because they share a lot of similarities. They both have two weapons named Nagiri and Kage, and also one of his supers is the same one that Zentetsu uses in Last Blade. And they share the same style, being the Kisaragi Ryu Ninjutsu. His KOF appearances are 95, 98 Ultimate Match, 2000 as a striker for Lin, and his most recent being KOF 11. So in the canon, he's only been playable in 2 games. Other than Mai, he's always been one of my favorite ninjas, so I think that the strongest ninja under heavens deserves a spot. Alright, my next pick is Hinako. Her last canon appearance was in 2003, where she was on the high school girls team with Athena and Ma Lin. Not much is known about her other than she's a sumo wrestler who wants to prove that girls can practice sumo too. If I were to give her a story, I think that she could have a rivalry with Daimon or I mean King of Dinosaurs. Yeah, King of Dinosaurs, yeah. Whew, that was close. Don't let that small frame fool you though. This girl can throw down with the best of them, and I mean, she could probably throw down with E Honda from Street Fighter if need be. She was considered a low-tier character for years due to her short-range normals and lack of projectiles, but in the hands of a good player, she's a beast. I mean, just watch these clips of me playing King of Fighters 2002 and you'll basically get the gist of what Hinako can really do. So yeah, please SNK, please, just for me, just this one wish, add Hinako so I can teach people how to block. Alright guys, we're almost there, so before we get down to the number 1 spot, I have to put this character in here. She's been one of my favorites in KOF for years, and yes, I'm talking about Foxy. She made her appearance in 2001 and 2002 Unlimited match. Originally, she was planned to be playable alongside Diana, but Diana was cut from the roster last minute because of time constraints. She's seen on the Nest team with Kula, K49, and Angel. Her and Diana serve as mother figures to Kula, as they are both seen hugging Kula or watching over her. She was mortally wounded during her team scenario, which had fans worried that she may have died, but the developers assured players that Foxy is still alive and well. Foxy uses fencing combined with super speed, a suicide attack, translocation, and a high and low counter. She is always top tier and is one of the best anchor characters for any team in King of Fighters history. I would love to see her in 15 so we can get some cute interactions with her and Kula. And just before we get down to the number 1 spot, guys, let's go through some honorable mentions. pretty sure you guys could have guessed it. The number 1 spot goes to Kim Kef-Wan. If I asked you who do you think would make it into the base roster, most of you would have said Kim, right? I mean, he's one of KOF's mainstays since the start of the series, and is beloved by everyone, so why wouldn't he make it, right? Well, SNK really shattered all expectations with this one, but not in a good way. The game just doesn't feel right without him. He's just as important to the series as Kyo, Benimaru, or even Athena, so not seeing him for the first time in a KOF main title is a shock to say the least. In case you don't know Kim, he is a character that originated from Fatal Fury, and he's been in KOF since '94, and didn't miss a single installment. He's mainly a charge character, but his fighting style is easy to learn for new players, but at the same time can be hard to master. His strongest versions is without a doubt King of Fighters 13. He's OP in that game. The last time he was seen, he was dragged against his will by his master to train in the mountains, which probably explains the reason why he's not in 15, but who knows, I mean that's just my educated guess. Only SNK knows the real reason why he's not in there. Well guys, that's my list for the top 10 missing characters in King of Fighters 15. I want to know in the comments, is there anybody that was on this list that you guys also wanted in the game? Or was there anybody that I'm missing? Please let me know. And also don't forget to like, share, and also subscribe to the channel if you want more fighting game content and more speedruns. I'm Speed King 125 and I'll see you guys later. Peace.